up, everyone? Welcome back to the No Cat Space post-game show. Tyler, Greer, Andrew. We got a little bit of after dark action going on. This feels like
the old days.
Like the old man. We were built in the fires of the Pac-12 for nights like this.
So you were merely brought here.
We were forged in this.
I was born in it. This is what we were built for. But yes, a nice listen. Never mind. But that was a hell of a performance that we just saw, y'all. Listen, Jewel Lloyd. Let's throw the graphic up. Jewel Lloyd, 34 points on 10 of 15 shooting, 6 of 9 for the 3-point line, and 2 eyes. We think. Listen, we saw that post game.
1 and a possible at best.
Like 1.5. I don't like. Listen. I need, we always had we have Hoodie Mello, you got like summer workouts Ben Simmons. I need eye patch Jewel. I need eye patch Jewel.
Crazy, bro.
Listen, you can't tell me she could have had both eyes closed tonight and those shots would have kept going in. Greer, we'll start with you. This is your squad. What were you seeing tonight from Jewel that stood out from maybe other games in the way that this Storm team won tonight in comparison to other ones?
She just was great from the tip, right? Jewel is very much a player that once she gets in a rhythm, that's what you want to avoid as a defense, right? Is allowing people to get in a rhythm. And the diet of shots tonight, right? 9 threes, but 6 below 3-point line, just a healthy balance of shots, right? And then there's probably nobody better in the league at making tough shots. When they're not going, kind of frustrating, can't lie. Yeah. But there's nobody better at making an impossible situation kind of look effortless when it is going in. And she was doing that tonight too, even coming back after getting poked in the eye by Lexi Hall. I think she made her first shot back in the game. And hit a couple other ones as the game was winding down, and they kind of had it under control there. So, she's the gold mamba for a reason, and
she showed it tonight.
This is like the quintessential Jewel Lloyd experience, though, right? I saw an amazing tweet, I think it was a Reddit post recently, where somebody said Jewel Lloyd is what Arike Ogunbowale thinks she is or thinks she could be. And it's true. This is the dominant Jewel Lloyd that we've come to expect. She's had a pretty horrible stretch over the last handful of weeks, and in spite of that, their roster and their starting 5 is good enough that it hasn't created many problems for them. But when she's hitting, this is what you get. Right. And this is the version of the Storm when Jewel Lloyd shoots like this, where you go, okay, this starting 5. Jordan Horston comes off the bench and puts Caitlyn Clark in for Kuda for 40 minutes. This is the exact type of team that you look at and say they can give the other top teams in the West significant problems, but it only starts when Jewel Lloyd shoot 10 of 15 and 6 of 9 from 3 every time. But when she gives you 20 plus a game, masterclass from a seasoned vet, man. She is the standard up there right now. Even with Sue retired, there was a question of what is this Storm team going to be? It's going to be Jewel Lloyd. They go as she goes. Even with all the stars they have, they go as she goes.
Yeah, that's what's been kind of interesting to me is that so far this, and there have been struggles for Jewel, but even during good Jewel games, it's been a pretty spread out appetite of scoring for the Storm across the board. And there was other players that were still scoring. Ezi has 18, NECA has 15 tonight. So not bad offensive performances by any means. But this feels like one of the very few games we've had a very dominant scorer for the Storm, and which has been interesting because I think it could be pretty easy for them, just generally speaking, to get in the habit of okay, who's hot tonight? And they haven't really seen that. But obviously, when Jewel Lloyd's playing like this, you're going to Jewel Lloyd, and it's not like she put up. Only 15 shots that is a very healthy 34 points right there, and a very efficient 34 points. And I think that it has kind of come in time with the ability of having all these other players around her and not forcing it through any one player on any one night. And it felt like a very you could tell that she was scoring points, but it never felt forced at any point to get her the ball or to rely on her or anything like that, which is something in the past with other Storm teams that obviously like with less talent on them with Jewel, we've seen like, okay, hey Jewel, save us.
Feed. Yeah, last season she had, I mean, she led the league in scoring, but she was also taking a ton of shots.
Right.
Yeah, they have more options this season, but like this team, I don't think it's a secret, right? They want to be contending for a title this year. And you need, players who are capable of just saying, I can get us 2 playoff wins. Just and Jewel's that kind of player. She's been there before. So yeah, Andrew, I think your point about like this team at their apex is gonna have to have be Jewel the one like driving the ship, steering the ship.
I think we got to give a lot of credit to Ezi as well, just because this is year 4, year 5 for Ezi, and the defensive ability has always been a known quantity. Last year, we started to see an evolution in the offensive game. This year, the evolution that I see is just how much more natural that offensive game is for her in the paint. And that's a hard thing to do, man. It's a hard thing at this level to develop an offensive game when you otherwise haven't necessarily had one. And for her, she puts up 18 points in this game, and this is now with her a routine showing of like, oh, this was a solid Ezi game, as opposed to 18 points. This is like the most points I've ever seen Ezi Magbegor ever score before. I wanted to highlight the evolution of her game too, because that is where the additional dynamic is. I wrote a couple of weeks ago in 5 Out that the place that the Storm actually has the advantage here is because now Ezi is not a 0 offensively, and so if you stack Asia and Kia Stokes, as good as Asia and as all-world in her own tier as she is right now, NECA and Ezi presents a problem on the other side of the ball in a way that in last year or years past, Ezi has not been that player. And it adds a completely different dynamic to this team because it forces you to figure out what you're going to do with her on the defensive side, because now you can't put an Alyssa Smith on her, for instance, because she'll carve you. In 2 years ago, you probably could have gotten away with doing that. In this game, you can't do that. And then on the other side of the ball, you get stuck with putting an offensive talent like Ezi or NECA with Nalissa, and the Fever end up having the problems that they have.
Yeah. And can I just say, Shawnee is one of the very first people I ever saw heavily investing in Magbegor stock.
Yeah. Listen, she needs her flowers for that, because I literally was thinking. I'm glad you brought this up, Andrew, because I literally was waiting. I didn't put it in the chat because I haven't fully thought this out yet. Okay, but I was just like, I'm just gonna say this out loud and hear how it sounds. Ezi is 24, turns 25 in August. 4 years from now, there's a very real chance she's the best player in the world.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
I really like when you think about the development that she's had. The defense has always been there. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And like I said, I just wanted to say it out loud and hear and see how it felt. And I said it out loud, and I feel solid about it because, like, I'm not like I feel like she's going to be a top 5 player in the world. I
don't hate the take.
I think it's a very real possibility.
I'm willing to go top 3 for sure. For sure. Yeah, to Andrew's point, like her offensive development, she's doing things on like from everywhere in the half court now.
It's been a clear step every season. And now you're giving her a play, like obviously she starts off with Stewie, and now you give a player like NECA, and like so like the amount that she's been able to soak in, and by the time that it's going to be her team, like it. I'm just saying, like I said, we got a long ways to go with that. But like that's where my head is at with Ezi. Like that's like not the bar, the expectation, because like that's a very, but like that's the player that she is, and I think that she can be that right now, like on a given night. I think she can be that caliber of player and step up to that level on a given night. It'll be about finding the consistency with that on both ends. But man, I can be higher on the potential. Like it feels like she's been around for so long now because
she has kind of.
And yeah, like and
what fourth year playing in the league,
and that's just unheard of in the W. Like you just don't really see that in the way that she has been able to have like been given the space to develop while also being there young, and you can clearly see the development of it. That's not normal by any means.
Seattle knows a thing or two about having the best player in the world on their team.
Hey,
yeah,
and
you know what I'm saying?
I guess it's obviously like there's gonna be plenty of contenders for that crown, and there's contenders right now that aren't going away anytime soon. But like there's a very real possibility that like from at worst top 5 is like as low as like I will go for how good I expect and think Ezi can end up, and a very real possibility of being higher than that.
I like it. I like the take. I can get behind it.
There we go. See, I said it. I was like, I just need to say it out loud. I didn't want to say in the chat. I had to like feel it out. But to the point of the team, because I like the point that Donovan here in the chat made. They had 27 assists tonight, and that is something that in
Jordan Horston career high in assists tonight.
Yes, who was to Andrew's point, fantastic tonight. Like I said, not a like she inserted into the starting lineup now, and like feeling like the compliment that they were kind of looking like they're not going in there to score. That's not what you're here to do at all. Like with that's just not what they're expecting. But exactly what they needed her to do tonight when it comes to being on Caitlyn and just not really be a ball stopper on offense. She did that fantastically tonight. Like if that's what Jordan Horston is bringing, like the energy, the defense, and just swinging the ball, that's dangerous. Like that adds just another layer.
Like if you're able to put Jordan on a team's best perimeter player and then also have Skylar,
come on,
like
bro.
that's kind of crazy.
That's real.
And like, also have Ezi, who's more than capable of switching on anybody in this league.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's why they're one of the best defenses, you know, in the league right now. And Horston playing the minutes that she did tonight and the minutes that she'll continue to get as their season goes on. And then also she's being inserted to the lineup when they're on their long homestand, right? So just like a certain level of comfortability. I think like the move is going to pay dividends, you know what I mean? And it's just happening kind of like at the right time, you know? I thought like obviously she played a ton for them last year, was kind of like their six woman last year. Started the season on, you know, with an injury, but I thought like, you know, she should have had been snatched those minutes from Victoria Vivian when she got healthy, and now she's, you know, taking the reins and just doing what she was supposed to be doing from the jump.
Yeah.
That's she has that length too, those long arms that it was so obvious how much trouble Caitlyn was having getting separation, and Caitlyn, I mean, look, we can call it what it is with her offensive game. She does live a little bit on that push off, but that doesn't do much when someone's arms are so long that once you create separation with the body, they can just hold the arm out there.
You're not even if you move her back, you're not creating any space. Like you're just not.
Yeah, and you know, I think again, those are particular scenarios where you look at certain players and certain matchups and you're like, God, the Storm are really built to beat them there. But it comes down to a consistency and a bench with them. But tonight, I mean, this was the Storm. This is this was peak Storm, as Gersh said. Like this is not the ceiling of what they are, but this is pretty darn close to like
what the formula, if nothing else.
Yeah, this is what you would expect them to be at their best. If they're rolling, this is what this iteration of the Storm look like, which is a very darn good team. As for the Fever, man, well, I got something about Caitlyn Clark in a minute. I'll let you guys go first.
Well, I mean, we can kind of get into that because I mean, to y'all's point of the defense, Fever have 20 turnovers tonight, with 14 steals from the Storm, which is crazy. But let's get into the Fever. Let's switch to the other side. A bit under the weather tonight for ABC squared. It was not like a terrible game, but like
ABC squared.
Yeah, that's what Shawnee calls them.
Yeah.
Aaliyah, Boston, Caitlyn Clark,
Clark.
ABC squared.
Wow.
I think Shawnee came up with.
Good.
I mean, I saw it from Shawnee.
Better
Yeah.
than Reese's Pieces.
Yeah. Well,
Who said
okay.
that? Is there an echo in here? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
think I heard
No,
anything.
damn, didn't hear nothing. Okay. Anywho, yeah. So like, it was definitely a struggle, especially in the second half for Caitlyn. I could be. I'm a
She only
heavy
took 2
majority.
shots.
Yeah, like a heavy majority of her, just really everything came in the first half. Frankly, anything good in that, like she has. So I loved the floater in the first half where she splits the defenders. Like I've been wanting her. We hear a lot of talk about the mid range, like absolutely 100%. I want to see the floater added. So like that, like warmed my heart. But that was probably the biggest highlight from this duo tonight. It was just a bit of a struggle at times, frankly. So Greer, for you first, like what? Any takeaways? Was this more Seattle? Was this the fever? Like what are we?
I got a fly up that I'm cooking up here right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get it to that Sunday. You guys make sure that you watch
Sunday. Listen, that is like if we could put that one on pay-per-view, like that would be the one. Like
yeah, we are
Diana,
gonna be watching it live. We are for sure, and 20 of our closest friends. So if you haven't already, go subscribe to our playback room right now. Go join our playback room
in the description.
Because 20 of our closest friends, and maybe just the first people there, will get access to watch the game with us. So yeah, we're gonna be watching Sunday Fever. Yeah, I'm announcing it here.
Okay.
But, wow. Fever Liberty, reality is on its way.
Fever Liberty.
Sorry. Fever,
oh my goodness.
Fever Mercury. It rhymes.
Oh, not you getting your goats mixed up. Suffering from success. Fever Mercury. This is for the people that are unfamiliar. The build up to this has been Shawnee's Caitlyn Clark agenda versus Greer's Diana Taurasi agenda, on top of everything that's been going on.
Wait, pause. This is not an agenda. Agendas are like, things that this is a fact.
Okay. Regardless, be there Sunday. That is where we're at. But
getting back to this game. One of her favorite players ever is in the crowd, Sue Bird. But
drop that UConn reference again.
This is not a Sue Bird game, right? Like Caitlyn needed to be. You have to. Sometimes you kind of have to choose, right? Like, are you going to be an aggressor on offense? And I felt like she kind of was in the first half of the game. And then I don't know what happened in the second half. They just completely fell apart and weren't able to kind of get. Well, they were down 19, and then they cut it to 9 or something like that. But it was still. It still felt like they were just struggling to get there, even. After that, they just completely sputtered. And, a lot's going to be made of their coach and things like that. But again, sometimes, shit is just on the players. What you're getting or not getting with Chrissy Sides at this point. You know what I'm saying? And I know Shawnee is not a proponent, but the body language, it also just sucks to watch as a consumer. It just whether and today I felt like it was a little different than the last games. I think a lot of times she was just kind of getting down on herself, not necessarily on the teammates, but still, I don't know, just the petulance. I don't know, it's just.
No, I feel it.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling it today.
I agree. Thank you for setting me up so perfectly. Wow. What an alley-oop. The first thing is, if there's a fireable offense for Christy Sides, it's not the adjustments, it's not the rotations, it's not when she decides to take Caitlyn Clark out or put her back in or put Erica Wheeler out in or take her out. It's the fact that she has seemingly made Caitlyn Clark doubt herself when it comes to her decision making, because it's so clear and so obvious she is thinking in the lane. And there was one play in the fourth. The commentary team even took note of it, that she had the lane. She should have just gone straight up for it, and she tried to pass off to Temi, and it ends up being a turnover. And so it doesn't matter who she has around her at this point, I don't think. Because frankly, this has now been multiple games of a sample where we've seen she is trying to figure out what she needs to be for this team. And as a coach, that's your failing. You need to empower your kid, your star, your number one pick, your transformational, transcendent player who, let's keep it a bean, on a bad night scored 15 on 9 shots with 6 and 6 or 7 and 6, right? Like this was a bad game, and that's most players' good night.
Yeah, we're still on like triple double watch, like
that's
damn near, like
that's what I mean. So you have to empower that caliber of player, and it is really unfortunate to see that it looks like she does not know what her role is to be her best at this point. Now, as for the body language thing, it exists. We can't keep pretending that it's not there. It, to me, and again, I'm not in her head, it looked like it played her out of this. I mean, it looked like she got into her head and frustrated with herself and frustrated with her teammates to such a degree that she did not look active. You know, like there are, I don't want to say there's motor problems because there's not, but like there's a lot of giving up on plays. Third quarter, she gives up on a play. Offensive rebound, Seattle. She's standing 2 feet away from her assignment, bitching about what just happened, and Seattle goes up and scores off the O board. You know, like those are losing plays. That's not winning basketball. And so, you know, that's the kind of shit, to be frank, that's the kind of shit you can get away with and do when you're Diana Taurasi and you're 41. Like DT wasn't doing that shit at 23 years old. You feel me? Like that's the kind of stuff that you have the ability to do when the motor is not there as much anymore, and you've been a superstar and an MVP, and you're in the GOAT talks, and you can do shit like that. Like LeBron took plays off in his mid to late 30s and the end of 40s, and you are like he earned that. He earned that. And early in his career, when he took plays off and he disappeared places, what did we do? We critiqued that. And so we got to live raps and be honest across the spectrum with all our athletes here. You know, like this is big girl basketball. This is the WNBA now. And if we're going to put her and Angel and all these players in lists of, you are now at that point where we can critique you in ways we critique elite male athletes, Caitlyn Clark's body language is creating losing plays for her team. And that was in the Wright Thompson story. It was something that Jan Jensen and Lisa Bluter had to put her in front of a television like it's Clockwork Orange and hold the eyes open over and over and over to show her how bad the body language was and how that was losing plays. That's what
honestly, after the, you know, part of it is maybe like the Gen Z no shame thing, because after the Christy Sides video the Christy Wallace video went viral because she made the shot, right? Like, I don't know. I just would have been on my P's and Q's after, you know what I mean? Like that shit looked terrible. Yeah. That looked terrible. Like you are pouting and like super expressive, and she actually made the shot. You know what I mean? Like
the expression didn't really change either. It just
and people have noted, right? You know, when things aren't going her way, she's not super engaged in huddles or on the sideline and things like that. And it's like they drafted you #1 overall to be a tone setter. That is as much of the job as it is like what you're doing on the court. You know what I mean? Like playing the actual game. You have that responsibility as well as like out in the community and stuff like that. And, you know, we know that you're influencing this next generation of player, right? Boys and girls, right? Like, yeah, that's just not like, you know, it's a lot of pressure, but you know, that's what you sign up for.
Heavy
and
is the head.
That is just like, you know, being a good teammate, you know, displaying sportsmanship, like those are controllables.
But this is what we were concerned about at the start of the year, right? Was
You put a player like this into a losing organization that has not done the right things in setting a proper culture for her to win in. This is the kind of shit that happens. And that is where the problem lies, at least for me. So, I'm unsure about what you do from here. Honestly, I think in a very weird way, I think her not making the Olympic team might be the best thing for her this cycle, because that's a long break, man, between All-Star and the Olympics.
Yeah.
That girl needs some time off. She has been, and I think it is noting the mental side of this too, right? Like, this kid has been in the spotlight. She's been getting peppered with questions about being a proxy in culture war shit, on top of having to play 40 minutes every game, and has not necessarily, been getting a break. I mean, like we've always
and
said,
other people's best shot too.
and
right?
Every night.
Jordan Horston was playing like it was game 5 of the WNBA finals, dog. Like she gave Caitlyn Clark the Dejanay Carrington special. She said, the people are watching, and I will put you in the 7th circle for the entirety of this
And
half.
she did.
And that's gotta be tiring.
She did.
That's gotta be tiring.
No, I completely agree. Like, it's something that at first, it was kind of interesting to see, like, okay, like, is this, because it felt like we had relatively kind of turned a corner, like kind of just team wide. I felt
they won 4 straight.
Yeah, and like obviously that helps, and everything's a lot more fun when you're winning. But now, like, it's about maintaining that, and that's like I don't disagree with y'all. Like, it's gonna be very interesting to monitor, because to your point, I think that's something you kind of have to earn in a way, and like on the professional side, she's just not to that point yet. And to your point, especially I like what you mentioned too, is like, you're a tone setter. Like, this is like, you are like, and this franchise hasn't had a winning culture, a good culture since they were winning, since Catchings was here. Like, like it's been a minute. And
Catchings was here as a player too. Let's be clear.
Yes, yeah, very like that, very clear. Yeah, when Catchings was suiting up, like that was the last time that had happened. So, and to your point, like, that's a lot of pressure, but ultimately, like, that is the task that has been bestowed upon Caitlyn Clark.
Totally. I am not saying, and I see a comment saying like we're making excuses and she got schooled. Yes, she got schooled, obviously, dude. I literally just said that. But like but like nobody's making excuses for her. The point at hand,
we're talking about a team. We're talking about like a
this is a problem, because when all of these things add up together, you end up in a scenario where this kid is clearly creating bad habits for herself. And Angel Reese and Camilla, I will say this, for all of the Sky's faults, they got Teaspoon in there, and whatever people think about what their culture might be from the outside, and whatever, the folks with political agendas have said about the Sky and who they are, the Sky created a good organization with a good coach that has wrapped arms around that team and that roster, and that team clearly likes each other.
Yeah.
Like, that, it is very different. It is very different, the situation Caitlyn Clark walked into, because look, whether or not we agree or disagree or feel that the comments that were made in the Jim Trotter question, interview was good or bad, Aaliyah Boston's best friend is going on Twitter to rip to shit Caitlyn Clark for that answer. Nobody in the Chicago Sky organization, none of their friends, no one in their entourage, no one on the team had anything to say but support for Kennedy, for Angel, for Spoon, for everyone else. That's a functional organization that, like Pat Riley in Winning Time, is like this right now. The Fever are like that. If Teaspoon is Pat Riley, Sides is Paul Westhead. Like, it is not the same scenario right now, and that is the problem.
Well, you guys mentioned the Sky, so let's get into the other top rookie that played today, the rookie and the vet. A lot of excitement around this matchup. The first time that Angel Reese and Asia Wilson match up in the WNBA, and this was a fun one. Like they were going at like Angel. One thing I love about you don't have to worry about her backing down to a challenge or anything like that.
No
Like
bad body language with Angel, dog. Let's keep it a bean.
And
if Caitlyn had Angel's motor, like,
listen, we like it was legit. Like this was a genuinely very, very fun matchup to get into today. And Asia, who man, like Asia was there was times like in this game where Asia, and this is no like listen, that's Asia Wilson. This is no diss by any means. Asia was getting hers, like in like 31 points, 10 and 19. Like that's gonna happen. That's Asia Wilson. So that's not a diss by any means. But Angel once again has now tied. Forget rookie records. We're not talking rookie records anymore. We're talking WNBA records for consecutive double doubles, tying Candace Parker. I don't know if you've heard of her for 9 consecutive double doubles. Like we're talking. Like I said, forget rookie history. We're past that. We're talking WNBA history. Everyone, all the greats, and think about how many greats have been bigs, haven't done this.
Yeah,
haven't done this. And Angel, like I said, there were
less than a half a season's worth.
Hello, like there were learning moments in this game, absolutely. But when you get to the core of it, like, listen, man, 18-11. That she's probably the best offensive rebounder in the league from the moment she stepped into it. That's insane. Like, and I mean, well, I'll leave it at that on my end. Greer, what were you seeing from either Asia or Angel from this game?
Starting with Asia's first half, just doing everything offensively, right? Bringing the ball up the court, hitting threes, just her bag has expanded so much in her, I don't know how many years in this. What is this, year 6, year 7?
Year 6, I think.
Yeah, so year 7 because it's year 6 for Reese and them, right? Yeah. But yeah, the way her bag has expanded, it's really cool to see players like truly put in the work and it bear out in games, right? Like, to your point, the Ben Simmons summer workout video is like you know what I mean? We've seen a lot of players who are supposed to be the best of their crafts do shit in the summertime, in the off season, and not do it in games. Ace is doing it in games, and she's shit out in real time, and it is a really cool thing, I think, for the entire like WNBA fan base to witness right now.
It's one of the best pure displays of basketball we've had on either side, men or women, in the past couple of years. And that's not to sit here and be like, hey, you could be the man one-on-one. No, that's not what I'm saying. And I want to hear that aggregated for whoever tries to, watch this later. The point that I'm making is, from a pure fundamental basketball standpoint, there are not many other players that have just played as pure over a sustained period as she has played, man. I mean, it is just unbelievable to watch her level of dominance. It's automatic. I love the wait, Tyler, can you put this tweet on the stage? I don't want to say his name because
I got it. Yeah.
I got it. The end. I'm not gonna get caught with a pause. But yes, that did set Asia into beast mode. It really did. Like that, and that's kind of one of those things where, like, for me personally, like I think the petty god stuff can sometimes wander into territory that's slightly problematic. But in this situation, and when it turns into 31 points on 19 shots,
and they had the victory tweet afterwards too. Like,
and I also think there's something about going against Angel and Camilla, right? Like Camilla,
absolutely. It was similar last year with when Aaliyah and Asia matched up. Like that was.
And what did Camilla say when she was on our show? What was the matchup she wanted to play?
She was looking forward to Asia.
You know what I'm saying? Like they know this, and not it would have gone without saying too, right? Like of course she wants to play Asia.
Right.
See how she matches up. And then you throw in Angel Reese, who she's talked about a lot leading up to this matchup, right? Like she's been asked a ton about her and vice versa. And so and she's been seeing what Angel's been doing with the double doubles and just her performance in general. So you never want to get caught lacking. You know what I mean? Like as the reigning champion and finals MVP and all of that, all of the things, all of the accolades. So you never want to get caught lacking. The game's on Amazon Prime. Like this is prime time, and like it looks like she's on her way to her third MVP for real.
Yeah.
Like how
and the Aces are looking increasingly back in form. Like,
you know what's shocking to me about that, Tyler?
Yeah. What's up?
You don't need Chelsea Gray to be dominant. You just need Chelsea Gray to be on the fucking floor.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, when you take the ball out of Jackie Young's hands as a point guard and just let her be a shooter, it's like the team is noticeably, completely different. And you don't even need Chelsea to dominate. Just to be there for the attention, which is a scary concept because as she gets older, like, and Chelsea's in her 30s now, but like as Chelsea gets older, what that tells me is that the cerebral way in which she plays the game is enough. That like even as the game deteriorates, that's what time does to everyone at some point. Like all you gotta do is just be out there.
Yeah.
And those other two guards are gonna be just fine. I will say this, man. The Sky in the first half were mighty impressive. And if that's a window into their future, boy, that tandem of Camilla and Angel is something, because we might look back on this and I don't want to harp it because, it's a player who is injured. But I mean, there might be a time when we look at a redraft of this, and I know it's very early to say this, but like we might be looking at a redraft of this going, damn, the Sky fleeced everybody getting these two in the same first round of the same draft. They look amazing together in such a short period of time. Like, and obviously Marina Mabrey is the difference there. If she's making shots, the Sky are really freaking good. Yeah. And when she doesn't make shots, which has been 80% of this year, unfortunately, you end up in scenarios where they can compete, but they maybe don't win. But man, dude, if this is the core of the Sky for a few years and Kennedy Carter keeps it together, and I think she will, because Teaspoon very clearly, connects with this roster in a way that and gets them in a way that other coaches haven't, frankly, for a lot of them. This is an entertaining basketball.
I would even say Kennedy and Angel's chemistry too, on and off.
That's Ken and Barbie. That's Ken and Barbie. It's like that is. It's
dog.
It's.
Yeah, I fear you may have ate.
I didn't. They had that on their social. That wasn't mine. That wasn't mine. But
also, I realized this while in the third quarter of this game, Kennedy hits like 3 shots back to back on 3 straight possessions, and I couldn't help but thinking to myself while I was watching, I'm like, has there been anybody in this era of basketball that had they come along in college like 3 years after they did, they would be a household name like Kennedy Carter?
Oh man, she would have been everywhere.
Like, dog, Kennedy Carter in the NIL era would be Juju Watkins. Like dead ass. Like
that's like she's like, that style of player.
After they beat Team USA, right? In the lead up to was it Tokyo?
Business would have been
or maybe it was World Championships or something like that, right? Yeah. Where the USA they were playing like tune-up games against college teams and Texas A&M beat them.
Yep.
Off of Kennedy. Like, yes, that could have been I say like the two players in my estimation who just kind of fall short of the NIL era are Arike and Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And like Arike, she's everywhere. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, she was on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
it worked out for her, but when it comes to the moment, to the game, like to the style that they played, like they would have both made.
Yeah, and it's really a shame. I mean, I guess you could take it 2 different ways with this, right? I mean, look, everyone owns the decisions that they make in life. You feel me? But, it is a shame that people's first introduction to Kennedy Carter was that moment in that game with Caitlyn. And, and I fear, and it's a bummer that tainted so much of how people see her. At the same time, do we get this circling of the wagons around her in the way that we have with Sky, that has allowed her to feel like for the first time in her WNBA career, she's a part of an organization that wants her. And
so
has that allowed her to play better?
It's so funny you say that because I'm not going to put it up on screen here, but there is a tweet tonight and it says, I don't like Kennedy Carter since she had issue with my girl Cece. At this point, my dislike isn't strong enough to deny that she's a great hooper. And you know what happened after that, Andrew? Kennedy replied and said, this just made me smile, LOL. You a real one.
Hey,
so
look where ethical hating can get us.
You know?
Look at where ethical hating can get us. It's a beautiful thing.
So a lot of people are, to your point, I think, and to that tweeter's point, like if you're just watching and you leave the extracurriculars at home,
it's
you know that you're seeing somebody who was like just different than a lot of the other players in her peer group. You know what I mean? Like, I think she played over 30 minutes tonight for the first time this season.
It was 34. I don't know if it's the first time this season, but yes, 34 minutes.
I think it is. And they were productive, right? This is your second game in the starting lineup, is it?
I feel like she's had more than I think it's been a couple more, I think. But yes, but still a relatively new thing. Yeah, it was 20 points, 9 of 20 shooting, 0 turnovers, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals.
0 turnovers. Like
the fouls, we got work fouled out. Got to work on the fouls, but 0 turnovers, especially when because I'm still interested. I still, even though this has been a positive, and like you see on the screen there, like they matched Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young, who for a lot of people's arguments, like the 2 of the best guards, in the league. Like they're the 2 Olympians right there, and they went bar for bar with them tonight. And it is interesting because figuring out what the long term is for the perimeter play that's something that we've discussed on here several times with about the Sky, but like for right now, for what it's worth and for what they're doing. Like this is what you need from Mabry and Kennedy to be in games with players like this, because to y'all's point, like I think there was like understandable concern for like, okay, how do Camilla and Angel work together in the sense of spacing and just the play style, like how like just not talking like fight stuff or anything, but like just purely basketball, like how do they fit together? And it comes down to if they have the space to just pass back and forth, below the free throw line,
rebound each other's misses, like
it's gonna be just fine. But it's a matter of having that space. And to your point, Andrew, like there's been struggles with Marina at times. Like Kennedy's been fairly consistent throughout this season, right? Like around kind of that 15 point.
She's been their best guard. She's been their best
100%,
guard.
100%. So when you have nights like tonight, even though they don't pick up the win, like and they lose by double, like this was a competitive loss, and it has to do with the fact that the perimeter players were actually scoring, and it wasn't the most efficient night. Like there's obviously room for improvement, but this was the equation. This was the formula for the Chicago Sky to maximize Camilla, who, and even though Camilla wasn't very dominant, like she had, I think it was 5 points, 8 rebounds today. So far from her best game that she's had as a pro as well. But this is still, to me, the formula for how you get the most success out of your 2 rookies. That, to your point, Andrew, when we're looking back 3 years from now, we might very well be looking at they just pulled off a heist in this draft.
I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, we talked in the lead up to the draft about how, you knew you'd be getting elite rebounding and really good defense from Angel. You'd be getting really solid intangibles from Angel, but you weren't getting an offensive game. And that was the ding on the draft grade. And could she pencil out at this level? Honestly, I think all of us as people in the W space, no matter how even the biggest Angel Reese fans, I think undersold the intangibles with
100%.
And I know I do a lot of comparison. That's just kind of my way of trying to, for the people watching, to kind of give you an analogy of something close. The thing that I kind of come back to is like, when Josh Allen came into the NFL, it was like this guy, his tape doesn't look like it's going to be successful at this level. And then over 3 years, the kid just has such a unique intangible.
What about a 6'5", 240?
Yes.
absolute cannon. Like,
But like that, but that's Angel.
yeah,
Angel has the size, the athleticism, but what I think all undersold was what exists in here. And the same way we talk about Caitlyn's bad body language playing her out of the games, Angel's mentality plays her into them. We
100%.
saw that against the Fever. And so I was of the mindset for a while that, like, okay, maybe it might be a while before she develops something to an offensive game, if she ever does. I mean, dude, I'm right back to square one with her, where I'm like, shit, man, sky might actually be the limit for her. No pun intended. Like, we're watching, to go call it back to the beginning of our show tonight. We're watching Ezi put up 18, 20-point games now after 3 years of thinking that she might just be a defensive player and that's it. Like, dude, Angel might come along faster than that. And if she comes along faster than that with that motor and those intangibles and that mindset that she has, dog, I mean, like, the face of the league stuff, I don't know if it plays out in the TV ratings right now, but it might. Like, it really well could if it keeps going like this.
Yeah, it really could. Like, it's, to your point, like, I count me as one of the people that give me the Angel Reese apology form or whatever, because it was like whatever I need to do. Because I mean, to your point, the motor, and it's something that I think at times, like especially with the way LSU scheduled, like it was like, okay, you could do it here, but how does it translate? That was always the question.
It was legitimately hard to know. It was hard to know.
Yeah.
I'm also super curious to know when in Candace's career she had those 9 consecutive double doubles. Because
it's a great point.
It doesn't sound like, just on his face, it doesn't sound like it was her rookie year.
Yeah. When I saw the stats, it was. I'd have to go and look, but no one.
I feel like somebody would be making that distinction.
No, if it was her rookie year, like it would have been said. Like it would have been said. And like I said, this ain't a rookie record. That's a WNBA one. That's pretty wild. We're coming up here on 50 minutes. Let's touch on the 2 other games also that we had go down today. We had a kids camp game with the Lynx hung over from the Commissioner's Cup celebrations. 94-88, a Wings win. We saw LT light the beam or whatever they got going on there. It was like light the button. It wasn't really the beam.
Tower or something.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but I can get with it. But we got to see more wins to see it. For this one, it caught me off guard. Like the Wings, like we've pretty much already buried the Wings, honestly, at this point with their season and kind of how we had anticipated the rest to go. Obviously, they weren't gonna lose every game the rest of the way, but a pretty surprising win coming off. You wanting to build off a Commissioner's Cup dub, wasn't able to.
I would say, bad L for the Minnesota Lynx. Like, obviously a short turnaround. They had to travel from New York to Dallas to play early, after winning the Commissioner's Cup on Tuesday. So, like, not ideal schedule-wise, but you play who you play. You know what I mean? Schedule is the schedule. And giving up 94 points.
Yep.
94-88.
94 to the Dallas Wings is disgusting, straight up. This is a team who pretty much only pounds it inside, right? Like, paint points is like where they, make their living. And shout out to Odyssey Sims.
Hello.
A pro. Because they signed her to a hardship contract and she made winning plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter. And Asha Howard returned from injury today as well. So, I know that they're happy to break their skid. Minnesota, this is also another team, them in the Storm, right? They pretty much have the best defenses in the league at this juncture of the season. So to give up as many points as they did to the Dallas Wings is a game I know that they want to forget. And a lot will be made of like just the matchup. Like they just don't match up all that well either, right? The Minnesota doesn't have the sheer size, that Dallas, but Dallas, that's still that's a bad loss,
Yeah. Caitlyn McBride's coming back to earth a little bit, and I think in some ways she's beaten the role player allegations a little bit, but the mark of a star, I think, in this league is that you don't disappear. Not to say that she disappeared in this one, but she's had games that have been, lower end games. And so, if you are that type of player, if you're an all WNBA player, that 18, that floor's got to be 15 if you're an 18 or 19 point a game player. So it feels like they're going back to earth a little bit. There's a quick question in here asking if Celeste Taylor goes to the Sky. The only reason I say no, and Odyssey Sims is a perfect example of this, right? The league, because the way salaries are structured, right? You're paying rookies and you're paying folks on hardship essentially the same amount. There's not anything in the CBA that says a veteran has to get paid substantively more than a rookie does. So you're actually disincentivized from signing rookies when there are more talented players with more W experience that are currently out there. So it may take Celeste Taylor a little time to find a roster spot, but Odyssey Sims, to your point, Career, an exact example of why you go and get experienced players first if you are in a bind and need to fill bodies on a roster.
And the Sky, I think Annie Costabile reported today because people were questioning because Elizabeth Williams had meniscus surgery, and so she's out for the rest of the season. Like, do they have another spot on their roster? And they do not. And that was reported by one of their beat reporters out of Chicago. So no,
Annie.
It's not going to happen for them. So as we see it like guard. It's very hard to make this league as a guard too. She wasn't really given a fair shake. I don't know, but like, what is fair even? I don't know. You're really, true. And I would be shocked if she's shocked that once Damiris Dantas was activated, that she was the person that was let go.
Yeah, it did kind of writing on the wall on that one. The other game, I bring to you first a message from Shawnee. I was going to
ask if you kept.
I'm going to read this word for word.
Oh, she wrote us a letter.
Gotcha. Nothing crazy. She just said, "Hey, could you apologize on my behalf for the technical issue?" So we're working on that. So let's just go ahead and get that out. And also the Sun are frauds. That is what she said. That was her message. Today the Sun go into overtime with the Washington Mystics. Let me tell you right now, close competitive loss for the Mystics, that's a win in my books. I'll tell you right now, that's a W. Put that in, I don't know what column you put that in, but that's a win. Okay, I don't care what it looks like.
They won off the gifts that they gave us today alone.
Hello? Hey, baby, Tebow was hurting. He was hurting. But I'm interested, just in, even more generally speaking, with the Sun, kind of where we're at, because they obviously start off super hot, generally easier schedule. In that start, obviously, like was in the upper echelons of like history with the start that they had as a team. But now you lose the Aces, you lose to the Storm, and you escape with an overtime win. It was looking a little wicked with Washington. So I'm just intrigued. Where are we? Shawnee's already the frauds. I don't know if I'm there yet. Like I'm just kind of eye emojiing right now. But Greer, where are you kind of at with Connecticut and where they stand in the grand scheme of the league right now?
Of all the contenders, they're the ones I'm least afraid of.
I mean, I think that's probably fair right now. Like it's
I think Nathan's right. I think at this point, like that's Connecticut is at their ceiling. They are, to be quite frank, they are what they've always been. They're a semifinal or a final team that just I don't trust them to do it. It's like they're the Boston Celtics up until this year. Like you're not going to believe they win until they win, and even after they win, you still might not.
So they need a ridiculous amount of good luck. You're saying, got
it. Yeah. Okay. There you go. There it is.
But to be frank,
yeah,
yes.
I mean, you're not lying. You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You have to say it.
But I will say this, man. The Mystics to do this without Aaliyah Edwards in the lineup was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have not just like packed it in on the year. I mean, eldest boy, Eric Tebow, bro, like he actually might be decent at this.
Not making the allegations.
A little bit. He's he might be good Kendall Roy, not bad Kendall Roy. Because dude, like we're seeing it with the Fever. Like the Fever are a better team statistically, but their vibes feel very front runner heavy. Like if they win, the vibes seem decent, but if they're losing or they don't look good, the vibes are terrible, horrible. So credit to the Mystics for putting it together. Like it is very impressive.
And this is a team that they're obviously not unfamiliar with injuries. Like, I mean, you have Shakira's been in and out the lineup, mostly out. Sykes came back for like literally one game and then was out again with an injury.
And
like
out until the Olympic break.
Yep. Like who is it? Samuelson, I think, is also going to be out for an extended period of time.
Yep.
I mean, Aaliyah, it sounded like we'll be back. Like it seemed kind of just like a day-to-day type thing. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, you're getting it was Hines Allen with 21 points and Dolson with 18. And like I said, I mean, and this is something I've always been wary about with Connecticut is that Alyssa Thomas had 7 points today. That's not when I think of obviously like Alyssa Thomas like did her thing last year, like there was a very strong argument for MVP. But ultimately, I have always felt that DeWanna Bonner is the MVP of this Connecticut Sun team. Like that is just how it's always just kind of felt to me. And when you need a shot at the end, I'm going to DB. If I need I'm going to like I feel like I often find myself thinking I want to go to DB more than Alyssa Thomas. And
she can't shoot. She doesn't.
Right,
shoot.
and like that's just play style things. But like it's interesting when you have. It's just a weird dynamic. I
think kind of what you're getting at is that because their best player has limitations. The team is limited to what they can do and where they can truly go, right? Like it's, and I get it. Like she's developed into an incredible player.
Yeah, she is fantastic at what she is fantastic at.
Yeah.
But I don't know if her being fantastic is championship level.
Yeah.
And to this point, like it's kind of reign true, frankly. Like this felt like okay. This feels like the team makeup. If it's gonna happen, it's with Ty Harris hooping. It's with Dejanay hooping. Like this feels like the most. And I've said this before because I was talking very highly of Connecticut when they were on their initial run. Like, obviously there was still time to wait and see, but this feels like the makeup. If it's not this one, I don't think it's not gonna happen. Like this feels like it has to kind of be it. But we're creeping up on an hour here, so we'll we'll wrap it up here. That was a fun one. It
was an exciting day in the W. Honestly, there were a couple good games and a lot of stars today. A lot of stars played today, so there was a lot to talk about. We'll be on Sunday live on
Sunday.
So go join the room again.
We'll do a little watch along, and then probably be on here for a post game as well. But make sure you follow the Twitter.
I don't know.
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
We're gonna get Shawnee's audio fixed.
Yes, we're working on it.
Andrew said he had to hop off early, so bear with my guy. We'll get some other stuff cooking.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. When I tell you right now, the interviews that are going to be coming out in the month of July, be ready. We got some stuff in the pipeline. So be very excited for that. Probably about an interview a week. We'll leave it at that for now. But we'll see y'all Sunday for sure. Make sure that you stay tapped in across the board so you don't miss out on anything. The Twitter in the description, the Substack in the description. Subscribe here on the YouTube. Click the bell so you're notified anytime something drops where we go live. And of course, the playback, like I said, Sunday. Sunday's gonna be a fun one. We're very excited. You can come watch the game with us, and then we'll be here for the post game. I don't even have the chat pulled up. I don't even know.
Shani just said I was in here going uncontested. A funeral.
So listen, Shawnee's ready. We appreciate y'all for tapping in with us for a little post game after dark, and we will see y'all on Sunday.